Today we are going to talk something about the active alternate domain controller or backup domain controller. In the last session, we have discuss about what is the importance of the backup domain controller or alternate domain controller, right? And in this video, we gonna in this session we're gonna talk about how do we configure that. I'll practically show it to you as well. Okay, so I'm just deploying in another virtual machine in the on the Azure. Okay, so that's the reason it is taking them time. So once it is done, so probably I'll go ahead and do that. Okay. So before that, the lab is about how to configure the alternate domain controller. Okay. Now there are some things that we need to understand of roles on Active Directory. Okay, so there are a few roles that you need to understand. Those are very important, and this is very important for the interview session as well. Okay, so that is a basic role that can be asked by the interviewer. Okay, so if it is nothing but FSMO roles, flexible single master operation rule. So I'll just share my screen shortly. Okay, just bear with me. Excuse me. I'll just share the screen shortly. Just bear with me. Okay, so I've shared my screen. Let me know if you're able to see that. Can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
So these are nothing but the operations roles in Active Directory. Okay, so in Active Directory, what all we have? We have something called forest. We have something called domain. Okay, this is very, very, very important. So I would want you guys to just be focused on this. Okay, so when we talk about this operation master role, so this operation master roles consist of two different type of roles. One is at forest wide roles, and second one is domain wide roles. Okay, forest wide roles and domain wide roles. In forest wide roles, we do have two roles. Okay, one is schema master role, and second one is domain master role. Okay, and in in domain wide roles, we have something called PDC emulator, RID master. RID means relative identification master. Okay, and infrastructure master roles. So why these roles are very important? Like, any task, if you are creating any OU, or if you are creating any domains, right? So these are basically, these roles actually take us whether it has to be created or not. If you are not able to create anything, so that's when you'll be uh, facing an issue with this. So you need to figure out whether there is an issue with the roles or not. Okay, so simply we usually call it as FSMO roles. These roles are so interviewer will ask you, do you have any idea on FSMO roles? Okay, so it's a flexible single master operational role. Okay, so any server which doesn't have this FSMO roles, okay, it means that it is not a domain controller. So there is a command to check whether the domain controller is a primary domain controller or not, or which domain controller is having that role, FSMO roles. Okay, so there is a simple command that you need to run is netdom query space FSMO. Okay, it's a one thing. And also there is one more check that you can do is there is another command is net accounts. When you type the net accounts, it means it will show as a primary. The output should be a primary. Okay, output will get a primary. It means that that's a primary domain controller. That's a primary DC. Okay, for this you'll getting output like the rules, list of rules, not be like list of all FSMO rules and the server name. Okay, I'll show you practically so that you'll get an idea on that. Okay, so as these I'll talk about these roles one by one. Okay, so please be attentive, guys. See, the first is schema master role. Okay, so in schema, basically, It is present in the primary domain. It provide logical structure of Active Directory. Okay, so any object or anything that you are creating. Okay, so any object that you are creating, it defines all the attributes. Okay, you can make a note of that. Schema master role defines all the attributes of the new object that we are creating. Uh, It defines all the attributes. Okay, just a moment. It defines all the attributes. Means if you have any object, you have created any user in the domain. Okay, so that user must be belongs to it. It is having some email address, right? You will be creating some email address. So he should be belongs to some specific team, right? And which group he should be belongs to. So all these things will be taken care by the schema master rule. Okay, got it. And domain naming master rule. Okay, so it maintains the unique name of the domain of or any object. So let's say you are creating uh, any object or anything or any domain, so it is responsible for maintaining unique name of domain. Okay, and also if you are it is responsible to add new domain into the forest. So you have a forest, existing forest, and you want to add another domain, so you can do that, and it will ensure that it's a uniqueness. Okay, and if you are renaming or doing anything domain in the forest, so all these things will be taken care by this domain naming master. Okay, so you have all these what do you call the notes and everything in the document which I shared with you. I hope you must have gone through that. Okay, so there you will be able to see the complete uh, I would say correct sentence formation or correct what do you call in a detailed manner. But overall, if someone asks you what do you mean by domain naming master role, so this is one of the forest-wide roles of FSMO. Okay, so where it maintains the uniqueness of the domain, uniqueness name of the domain. Okay, got it? Any idea? Sorry, any doubts or anything you have? Amruta, Harish, Uma,
No, no, Gopal.
clear? Pretty much clear.
Yeah.
Schema is basically to provide the logical structure of Active Directory. So it maintains, it defines the attributes of the objects or anything that we are creating. Okay,
So
attributes
everything
like,
like email address or any information, any roles.
let's
Yeah. Okay.
okay. So let's say I have created a user.
Okay.
Okay, so when I'm creating a user, so I'll be giving, he should be a part of some department,
Yes.
right? And he must be having some access and everything.
Yes.
Okay, he must be having an RDP access. He should be a member of some group, right?
Yes. Yes.
So all these things are nothing but the attributes of this particular user, right? It's nothing but
Yes.
the attribute of an object.
Yes.
So who is taking care? So this is the role. Schema
Master.
master is the role which is taking care of all the it defines all the attributes of this particular user.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So domain master, like I said, it maintains the unique name of
Yes.
the domain in the entire forest.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say you have created something called azurepractice.com. Okay, in the particular domain. If again, if you are want to create another azurepractice.com domain, you won't be able to do that because it will throw an error stating that you already have a domain name with the
Yes.
same, right? So you
Yeah.
should choose any different name, right?
Yes.
So that's the thing. And apart from that, the next role that we do have, domain wide roles. Okay, so it will be applicable at the domain level. Okay, so there is something called the PDC emulator. PDC emulator. Okay, so so it's a domain wide role. Okay, so any user, okay, it is having set of I would say security identification number to them. Okay, so it has a pool of security identification IDs. Okay, and it will provide that secure identification number to each and every object which we have in the domain. And what do we mean by that? Let's say I have created a user or any object or anything that I'm creating. So there is something called like Aadhaar. Okay, if I just talk in a simple language, so in India we do have something called Aadhaar number, right? And it is very unique. Okay, it is very unique. So no two members can have same Aadhaar number. It is very unique. So likewise in the domain, the object or the user or anything which we are creating, for that we have some secured identification number. It's a unique identification number. Okay, which will be provided by this RID master. And this RID is having a pool of SIDs. This RID master is having a pool of secured identification number, and it will issue a secure identification number to the user or the object that we are creating in the domain. Okay, got it? Any idea on this RID master? I'll take that as no. And now we have something
Gopal,
called PDCML. Yes, Harish.
Gopal, just one more time, I want the PD simulator.
PD simulator I didn't. I'll talk now.
Okay, because already, okay, got it. The pool of security
SIDs we
identification.
have security identification number. From that, one
PD,
identification number will be issued to the
yeah,
object that we are creating in the domain.
correct.
Okay. So now we have something called the PDC emulator. PDC emulator is nothing but primary domain controller. Okay. It is responsible to authenticate the user. Okay. So when we are entering, so you have created a user, right? And you are entering some credentials while login to the domain controller. So that authentication and everything will be taken care by this PD simulator. Okay. So that is nothing, authentication and everything will be taken care by the PD simulator. And also if you are changing any password in that, so replication between primary domain controller and backup domain controller will be taken care by this primary domain controller or this PD simulator. Okay. Or any time synchronization has to be done. What do you mean by time synchronization? Let's say you have see you have deployed a virtual machine, you have deployed an active directory, a domain controller, okay, in some region, right? In let's say in east US region, and another at in the central India or west US somewhere. So there should be some time synchronization between the these domain controllers. Okay, so that synchronization will be taken care by the PDC emulator. Okay, authorization, authentication, right? Or password updation or replication, all these things will be taken care by this PD simulator, primary domain controller. Okay,
Okay.
right. So the next is infrastructure master. Okay, so infrastructure master is basically nothing but it maintain and update, okay, for all universal group membership. Okay, so let's say if any universal group or anything which is been creating in the domain, Okay, so that will be taken care by this infrastructure master. Or if you want me to put in a simple words, the infrastructure master would be it update all the references basically. Okay, it update all the references of the domain. Okay, so this will be taken care by this infrastructure master role. And if you want to check whether the server is having the what do you call the FSMO roles installed or not, so you can log into the server and directly you can navigate to the what do you call command prompt and type the command netdom query space FSMO. Okay, just a moment. I'm just logging on to the server and I'll just show you practically. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So did you guys manage to? Did you guys happen to go through these options? Okay. So if you just go here in the local server, you will see the computer name. This is the domain. Okay. And it is being assigned by the DHCP. Okay. Remote desktop is enabled. This gives the processor and complete hardware details. Okay. So how many servers we have in this domain? This is the only server which we have. Okay. And if you have any some error kind of thing that you will be getting, so you can see here also net logon error or anything. The net logon error because I entered some wrong credentials. So that is the reason this warning events got created. Okay. So I'll go to simply go to the command prompt. Okay. Now I'll type netdom query space fsmo. Netdom space query space fsmo. See, are you seeing? It is giving the list of all FSMO roles. And where exactly these roles are being installed? These roles are being installed on this specific virtual machine. This is the server name. Okay.
So by default, all roles will be installed.
By default, yeah.
Okay.
So this query you can raise, run it from anywhere,
Okay.
anywhere from any machine that you have.
Okay.
Okay, within the network or within the domain, it will
Mm-hmm.
give you that which what is your domain controller, primary domain controller.
Okay.
Okay, and the net accounts. This is the command which I ran. So
Hmm.
this has to be run on the same server, and it will show the role, computer role. This is primary. It means it's a domain controller one. It's a primary domain controller. Otherwise,
Okay.
it will show as a secondary.
Hmm.
Getting me?
Yes.
So any doubts? I think it's a pretty much clear. If you have any questions, so please let me know. Okay. So I'll just put one question to you guys. Like, what happens? I have only, let's say I have primary domain controller and backup domain controller. Okay, and due to some reason my primary domain controller is down. Okay, so you know how the services will be provided, because only primary domain controller is having this FSMO roles, right?
Can you once again repeat?
I'm saying that I have primary domain controller and backup domain controller. Okay, so only in primary domain controller we have this FSMO roles installed, and due to some reason this primary domain controller is down and can be up, but it's gonna take time. But meanwhile, I don't want my users to suffer. I would want to, you know, continuously provide the services to them. How would I enable that? If you want me to put, I'll just put in this section. This is my, consider this as my primary domain controller. Okay, and this as an backup domain controller. Okay, PDC, it's BDC. Okay, so due to some reason this primary domain controller is down. Okay, and only this primary domain controller is having the FSMO roles. Okay, so during this downtime I want to have a new user, or someone is coming and we need to create a user right now, and also we need to create a domain, new domain, need to add that domain to the existing forest. So how that can be achieved?
In that case, we can transfer the FISMO rules to BDC.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, so what we need to do is that, so when the primary domain controller is down, it means the FSMO roles are no longer working in the domain,
Yeah.
right? So in order to have the services provided, services to be running up and fine, what we need to do is that we need to transfer these roles from primary domain controller to backup domain controller. Now you will get a question, when the primary domain controller is down, how, and now we are not even able to log in to this particular primary domain controller, then how will you transfer this FSMO roles to backup domain controller, right? See,
Correct.
I'm saying, do you want me to repeat, Harish?
No, no, the same doubt I got. Like what you
Okay,
said. Yeah.
right. Okay, so in order to transfer the FSMO roles from PDC to BDC, means primary domain controller to backup domain controller, you don't have to log into the primary domain controller. You no need to have access. If you have access to the backup domain controller from here, you can do that. You can log in, and there is some command. There are some commands you can use. It's a NTDS utility command. Okay, NTDS NTDS util command. NTDS util command. Okay, so this command is basically we use, okay, in order to transfer the FSMO roles from primary domain controller to backup domain controller. Okay, Got it?
No,
And
means
now,
after giving this command, like, do we need to do anything extra, or directly it will
yes,
get
yes,
transferred?
there are some series of steps that we have that we need to run. Okay, so I'll give you that complete details, and you must be having in this the document which I've shared. So I would advise you guys to just go through that as well. Okay, because it has all the information and everything. Okay, how do we transfer the FSMO roles? So this is nothing but the FSMO role, and this is an interview question. Okay, got it?
Yes.
So PDC is down. So what we are doing, we are transferring the FSMO roles. Okay, so let's say, and in this scenario, after some time the PDC will up. Okay, so there is a scenario where this system is completely collapsed. This system is completely collapsed, and it will never ever come again. Okay, this server cannot be up again, so it has to be, what you call, decommission completely. It means it has this VM has to be deleted, the server has to be deleted from the domain. So in that case, so what can be done? That is something called seizing of FSMO rules. Okay, so when we talk about the seizing in transferring of FSMO role, what happens after some times? Okay, if PDC comes up, so we can again transfer back these roles to the previous one, or we can consider this, or we can keep this as a primary domain controller and consider that as a backup domain controller. Okay, but when we seize the roles, okay, but when we are seizing the roles, seizing the FSMO roles, so in this scenario, this server cannot be up again. Okay, which means we need to have another server, we need to have another box or another virtual machine or another server, and there we need to install the roles and everything, and we can use that accordingly. In first scenario, transferring of FSM roles, yes, the down PDC can again be reused, but in seizing we cannot, and seizing can be done when this primary domain controller is no longer available, and it won't be available in future. That's when we do seizing of FSM roles. Okay, this is a typical interview question, and they're gonna ask you what is the difference between seizing of FSMO rules and transferring of FSMO rules. Okay, or if there is any planned maintenance that we have, planned hardware maintenance we have on this primary domain kernel, so that's when we do a transferring of FSMO rules, or any OS upgradation that we need to do. Let's say it's a 2008, okay, and we need to upgrade it to 2016, so we can transfer it to this FSMO roles, and here we're gonna upgrade the operating system, and then we can transfer back the FSMO roles again back to the machine. Okay,
To get back the roles again, same command.
yes, get back,
Okay.
yeah, to get back the same NTDS utility command. We do have the PowerShell commands also. Okay, so we can use the PowerShell commands in order to uh, what do you call, the transfer this FSMO rules, not only the NTDS utility tool.
No, so as you said, if the PDC got collapsed or down, totally down,
Hmm.
so for that BDC, do we need to again create one more backup? Like, it will become PDC? Do we need to have one more BDC or nothing?
See, let's say it's a seizing is a case. Okay, I'll take seizing as a case. This PDC is completely collapsed. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that if it is completely collapsed, definitely I need to have a, first of all, I need to transfer these roles back to this and make this as a primary domain controller.
Okay.
Okay, then what I'm gonna do is that, So redundancy is required. So I'll create another box, another server, and I'll configure that as a BDC, backup
Okay.
domain controller. Okay. Any doubts?
No.
Okay. So there is a lab
Uh,
I'm
go,
gonna give you.
go last doubt. Like, can we not give the roles to both the PDC and BDC at a time?
No.
Okay.
So this is something, I think it's by design. Okay, so
Hmm.
that's how it is.
Okay.
Okay, got it. All right. So what I'm gonna do is that let me check what is the domain which I created for this. Uh, okay. When I give a task to you now, so this is how it looks like. Okay, like this. You'll be getting a task, and you have to complete it. It will be assigned to your name. Okay. So now, so this is a virtual machine which I created, and this virtual machine is a part of the virtual network one. Okay. Let's say what all virtual machines that we do have. See, now it is giving me a pop-up to upgrade to pay-as-you-go subscription. We can click here, we can upgrade it, but right now we don't need it because we still have this many credits remaining. Okay, so we can deploy accordingly. Okay, I'll just check this VM2. VM2 won't work because it is. Can anyone please tell me why I cannot configure this VM2 as a domain controller or the backup domain controller or additional domain controller? Any reason? Don't tell me that it is not in running state.
It is the only VM you have, or another VM do you have?
I have this virtual machine. Okay,
Okay.
so in this virtual machine, I have this is the server. Okay, so I have installed the Active Directory in this. I have made this as a domain controller. This virtual machine as an.
Hmm.
Okay, so I need to have another virtual machine. Okay, so there is another virtual machine I have which is in deallocated state. So can you please tell me why I cannot use this machine as for domain controller, backup domain controller?
Maybe because of same resource group.
No,
No.
should be
Okay.
in the same resource group.
Yes, same resource group. Yeah.
Don't tell me that the status of this virtual machine is in
No.
deallocated state.
No, that one not.
Okay, the simple thing is that
Mm,
this hardware requirement
1 GB memory. Okay. 4 GB.
okay.
minimum 4 GB memory is required.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the reason. So let's check another virtual machine. Yeah, this one can be used. Let me just start it. Let me just check. If it is a part of VNet one, na? If it is a part of VNet one. Okay, got it.
For the Gopal, for the second VM also, like
Uh,
the BDC one,
I can resize it and I can use that.
you can use it, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I can resize it and I can use that.
So after resizing also, like after 4 GB, you need to log in. You need to again install the same Active Directory server, everything, right?
Right. So right now what we are going to do is that VM1 and VM3. Okay,
mm,
these are nothing but our domain controllers right
mm.
now. Okay, so on VM3 I have never installed any roles, AD roles. So what we are doing right now is that we are basically creating what you call we are basically configuring the alternate domain controller. Okay, so how we are doing that, I'll just show that to you. Okay, it's a lab practical that I'm showing you. The class is something, theoretical part is something which we are done for today. So it's a practical thing. So once it is done, so I'll just share you some commands. So how do we transfer the FSMO rules and TDS utility command we can use in order to transfer that. Okay, and tomorrow we're gonna talk about the group policy and everything. Okay, which is again very important topic, so that we're gonna cover tomorrow. Okay, for today let's stick to this. Let's see uh what we're gonna do is that, okay, let's go to this nick. Okay, so I am navigating to the nick. Any idea? To check whether the IP is a static IP
Oh,
or,
that's good. Yep.
okay, to check whether the IP is a static IP or dynamic IP, because for any server the IP, so for servers the IP should always be static one. Okay. uh, this is the nick. Come on, come on. This is a VM1 ka nick. Got it. Okay, it is static IP. So what is the IP? It got 10.0.0.4, 10.0.0.5. Okay, you just make a note of it because I'll ask you again. Okay, so now what I'm doing is that let me just connect to this virtual machine. I'll be connecting via public IP. This is public IP. Okay. Okay, so this is already joined to a domain and it's a different domain. Okay. No, you, so what you said is right. So what we're gonna will is stuck to the plan one where we're gonna have what you call VM2. Okay, we're gonna have virtual machine 2. Okay, and we're gonna resize this virtual machine. Okay, see, it's resized successfully. Okay, so perfect. Okay, I forgot this password, so I have a tendency to forget the password. So let me just check and reset it. It's been running before resetting the password. Okay, we'll wait. The VM is starting up now. It's started. Now I'll be able to see the reset password option. Administrator 2. Okay, still it is not completely up. Okay, so once it is up, so by default I'll be getting this public IP and virtual network details and everything here. Okay. Mhm. I need to reset the password. Okay, VM2 reset the password. Arne question progress, Azure Resource Manager. Okay, so this is activity that we are doing. So this is nothing but your ARM, Azure Resource Manager, which is actually taking care of all these things. Okay. It takes time actually to reset the password. Okay, administrator 2. Getting me how we are connecting, how we are resetting the password and everything.
Yeah.
Knowingly or unknowingly, you're also learning Azure. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I was having that doubt. Exactly.
Okay. See, this is a virtual machine 2, 74 series. And 172 series is a primary domain controller. Okay. So first of all, we'll check whether this server is joined to any domain or not. Okay. So I'll gonna go to the run command system.cpl. This will tell me whether it's a workgroup model here. Okay. Got it? Right. So what I'm going to do is that before doing anything, so I have created some static IP and everything. Right. So what I'll do is that I need to go to the NIC. Okay. So what I'm doing is that I'll go to the Ethernet. I need to make some changes here. Okay, let's promote it and later on we're gonna come here. Okay, so let me add rules and features. Umar, you following us?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is the server. Okay, we need. Okay, so on that server, the other server. Okay, so here we're gonna check the domain name and everything. Okay, techieheads.com. Okay, so this is a domain we are using. Okay, and we are adding an alternate domain controller or backup domain controller. So this is the standard process that we follow. uh, Meanwhile guys, if you have any doubts or anything from today's session, please ask me. I'll be more happy to answer your queries, clarify your doubts. This is the VM1. Okay, so I'm changing some NIC settings. Okay, at the portal level. Oh, sorry, inside the OS level. Okay, so what I need to do is that I'm basically setting up some what you call the private IP. Okay, so in order to add a server to the domain, okay, the NIC settings that you need to change. Okay, not for this as it is a first time, so that's the reason on the primary domain controller or which is this VM1. On this, I'm changing the NIC settings. Okay, 10.0.0.4. Okay, 10.0.0.4. So by default subnet will come. Okay, alternate DNS. Okay, DNS is very important when we come join a server to the domain or do something. Okay, so here the alternate DNS would be uh, the reason why I'm using the same IP here in the primary domain controller, because this is the primary domain controller and it is using some DNS server address, so this should be the same address. Okay, and due to some reason it is getting failed, so the alternate DNS would be the other domain controller, the alternate domain controller or the backup domain controller. Okay, so whose IP is 5 is what we are giving. Okay, Okay, it is installed. Now we need to promote this domain controller. Okay, so what should be add a domain controller to an existing domain, right? Earlier we used this one, add a new forest. Okay, so but here in this case, what we are doing, we are having we are adding an additional domain controller to the existing domain, right? Okay, or what is the credential of that? It will retrieve when you select here. Just a moment. It's not able to contact. So what we're gonna do is that the reason, because we need to change some nick settings here. Okay, so by default subnet mask and gateway will come. Okay, now 10 dot 0 dot 0 dot. Right now I'm making it 5, and later I'll just make it to change. Uh, no, no, make it to 4, and then here it should be 5. I made the next change setting, so that is the reason I lost this access. Uh, what's happened? Okay, okay. Not able to RDP. Why so? How about this VM2? Okay, I think we made some wrong changes, I guess so. There is some option which has been pending. So let me just check, and tomorrow I'm gonna show it to you live, guys. Okay. Okay, I think there is some issue with the nick that the after giving the IP, it was throwing some error. So need to fix that nick part. Okay, so I'll do that today, and tomorrow I'm gonna show it to you. Okay, so that's all for today. Any doubts or anything you have, guys?
So VM1 is our primary, right? VM1 will be our primary.
VM1 is primary, but on
Okay.
VM1 also we have changed some nick settings now, so that is the reason it is not allowing us to connect. So I'll just work upon that and get back to you on this. Okay. So
Okay.
usually that is the standard process which we follow. Why it is not coming up? Because we have set that as an static address and everything. Ideally it should come, but I think at the same time we have done that. So let me check.
Normally, do we need to change every time like this
No, no,
networking?
no, no, no. So on the primary domain controller we no need to change, but as it is a first time, so we are
Mhm.
creating alternate domain controller. So in the nick section, okay, how it is communicated, how the primary domain controller will be communicating with that. Okay, so the
Mhm.
how the primary domain controller will be communicating with the what you call the backup domain controller using the nick only.
Correct.
Okay, if this let's say this is a primary domain controller. Okay,
Mhm.
so the preferred DNS would be its own DNS.
Mhm.
Okay, if due to some reason if something is not happening, so that's when it will be communicating via this the other alternate domain controller whose IP has to be given here. Getting me?
Yeah.
So that's what the error was. So I'll just check on the nick part and I'll just get back to you. I think why it is not, maybe I need to boot up and I need to check again on that. Okay, I'll check and do the needful and I'll get back to you with an update. Should be okay. It's no it's a day to day activity part, so we can make the mistakes like this and we can learn out of it. So it's easy. I'll just figure out on the nick part. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So any doubts or anything you have, guys, for today's session, theory part?
No, Gopal.
Okay. All right. All right, then we can call it a day for today, and we're gonna meet tomorrow sharp at the same time, 3:30 p.m. IST. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye. You too.
Yeah. Thank you.